just,
Okay, we're on the air.
it's not a red R.
I call the meeting of the zoning board of adjustment, December 5th, 2023, to order at 7:35. Call to order and statement of compliance. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting a copy of the public meeting dates on the municipal bulletin board and website, by sending a copy to the Echo Sentinel and Courier newspapers, and by filing a copy with the municipal clerk. Standing board procedures. Any hearing conducted by the board is a quasi-judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. Meeting cutoff. Announcement is made that as a matter of procedure, it is the intention of the zoning board of adjustment not to continue any matter past 10:30 p.m. at any regular or special meeting, hearing of the board, unless a motion is passed by the members then present to extend the meeting hearing to a later specified cutoff time. Electronic devices. All in attendance are asked to mute cell phones or any electronic devices as to not interrupt the proceedings. Pledge of allegiance. Gary, would you please speak?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That helps.
Next,
Roll call.
pardon?
Roll call?
Yes, roll call, please.
Mr. Aronio is currently absent. Ms. Brennan is excused this evening. Mr. Giannakis?
Here.
Mr. Flatley?
Here.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Here.
Mr. Opelka?
Here.
Mr. Watts is excused this evening. Vice Chairman Grosskopf
Here.
/ acting chairman this evening. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. First order of business of the meeting minutes for September 19th. Has everybody had a chance to read it who was here and eligible to vote? That is a yes.
Very few.
I did, but
Three,
I wasn't, so.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
That,
Do I have to be, I have to.
yeah, no, my apologies, it would have to be one of the board members who was present that
All right.
evening.
Correct.
We have
One
three, I
step up.
believe.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay,
Second?
Second.
okay, we're good.
All in favor?
All in favor, say.
Aye.
Any
And then-
opposed?
And then the
Nay, nays?
abstentions Deb can figure out.
Okay. Beauty. Next, we have an application for variance. That's block 12204, lot 4, in zone R3, 175 River Road. Application number 23-02Z, Rafael and Adriana Viana. The applicant proposes to construct a second-story addition to an existing single-family residence.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I did have an opportunity to review the notice. I found the content to be sufficient, found it to be timely served and published, served on November 15th, published November 19th, both at least 10 days prior to this evening. Once sworn, I do just want to confirm with the applicants that they served the notice on November 15th, only because we have an affidavit of publication. We don't have in hand, at least yet, an affidavit of service, but it certainly appears as if the certified mail was sent on November 15th. I suspect they'll confirm that, and we'll be good to go once they're sworn
She
in.
has the affidavit, she's gonna have that.
Oh, you do have the affidavit
She
already?
has it here to
You have it
give
here?
Yes.
Wonderful, okay. And so in that case, we can proceed. The board has jurisdiction to hear and decide the case, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Would you like to give us a brief overview of why you're here with this application and what we're going to be hearing?
And I better swear everyone in,
Oh, yes.
as well as our board professional. If you'll all raise your right hand, do all four of you swear to God or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
I do.
Thank you all. Please proceed. Whoever's proceeding.
So, the reason why we're here today is, we're looking for a home for a long time, and we had really no idea about Long Hill Township, and we stumbled on Millington, which we didn't have an idea about Millington either, but I remember I saw the house on 175, then I went to the Millington station, and a sandwich, and I called my wife and I said, this is the place I want to move to, right? I bike a lot, I run a lot, and there was a sign that says Great Swamp up ahead, and I was like, this is going to be where we buy our house. The house that we bought, we want to start a family here, but unfortunately, just the size of the house, it's small. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath. We love the area. We love the township. We love everything that it has to offer, and we want to stay here. And especially in this market and the way things are, I feel like for us to continue to stay here, we have to build on what we have. We just recently have a 5-month-old that was born, and we do plan on adding, hopefully down the line, another child, and allowing us to construct on the property that we live on now will not only allow us to stay here much longer, but it will also allow us to enjoy the space that we live in a way that I feel like we both deserve to.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I guess we should swear you in, Mr. Johnson. Well, you've been sworn in, I mean, to hear you.
Yes. So thank you for that. As my clients mentioned, they are recently expanding a family here in, yes. Sorry.
You just name and business
Oh, I'm
address
sorry.
for the
I'm sorry.
record and
Yes,
licensure
sorry.
as
Yes,
well.
you have to
Yeah.
qualify me. Yes. My name is Brian Johnson of Johnson Architectural Services. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. I've been practicing. I have my license for 20. I've been practicing architecture for 20 years. I have my license since 2009. Is still in a good standing in the state of New Jersey. I prepared these documents and prepared to discuss it with you.
And I take it you have experience with this board in the past.
Yes, I have. I've testified in a number of boards, and I've also served as a member of a land use board.
Defer to the chair.
And we deem you acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. So, as my clients had mentioned, they have basically a 1.5-story property right now, house, and what they just had a child, and what they basically would like to do is they have a 1-story garage and foyer entry, and in that area they'd like to basically essentially expand up, essentially stay on the footprint of the house. If you look at the zoning ordinance, the zoning information here, the actual property itself, the construction that we're proposing, would actually be fully in conformance with the zoning ordinances based on the modifications that are permitted for, because it's an undersized lot on a corner. And if you look particularly, the zoning ordinance in section 1331, basically says that when you have an undersized lot and you're on 2 front yards, you're allowed to take, I believe it's 60% of one of the yards. So if you apply that to Francine Place, the 50-foot front yard setback becomes 30 foot, and then we would still have a 50-foot setback on River Road. But then if you look also, ordinance section 136.2 basically says that you're allowed to expand on an existing house, provided that, if you meet these conditions, provided that you don't increase the degree of noncompliance that already exists. So condition 1 is that the use is permitted in the zone, which it is. It's a single-family residence. Condition 2 is that the total lot coverage, parking garage, meets the requirements of the zone, and we do comply with that if you look at our lot coverage numbers. Condition 3 regarding yard setbacks basically says the existing structure does not reduce any required setbacks more than 50%, and the proposed setback in any addition does not increase any yard setback deficiency of the existing dwelling. So if you apply these yard modifications for the front yard setback, the required setback's 50 feet, the existing's 40.2 feet, the reduction was 19%, 19.6%, and that's not more than 50, so that would comply. The front yard setback on Francine Place, when you apply the 30-foot, the modification allowed for the 30-foot setback, so if 30 foot's required, 17 feet's existing, the reduction's 43.3%, it's under 50%, it would comply. On the side yard here, facing lot 3, where there's an adjacent house, the required setback is 25 feet, 50%, the existing is 10.2, that is a 59.2% setback. So that would exceed the 50%, which is why we're here. However, the proposed construction that we're proposing here is not on this side of the house. That's an existing condition. It would not be modified. We would be over on the left side of the house and well outside that threshold.
And just for the record, if I may, Mr. Chairman, you're referencing the plans that were submitted with the application materials, at least thus far, correct?
Yes, these are the same drawings that were submitted with the
Okay,
application,
the
without
first one was,
modification.
and those are last revised March 7, 2023? Oh, no, they're dated.
Dated March 7, 2023, yes, correct.
Yeah, and right, no revision. And that, you just showed us Z101.
That
now
was
you're showing
drawing
us
Z101, yes.
Z102?
This is drawing Z102, and behind it is drawing Z103. So in terms of the existing conditions, there are photographs here. You can see the existing conditions. There's a site plan here to spot the where these photos were taken from. So the area where we would be putting the addition is basically right here to the left side. There's a one-story garage along with the foyer entry right here. The half-story is right over here. That's going to remain as is without being changed.
And I'm sorry, just for the record, I apologize for interrupting, but when you keep saying right here, right here, right here, can we
You can't
speak
see.
directionally, at least east, west, north, south, if you?
Sure.
In order
Okay, so
to board.
the addition would be to the west side of the house as approaching from the front. It would be above the garage and the foyer.
Mm-hmm.
The existing half-story is to the east side of the property. That would not be modified. These are basically the existing conditions that are here right now. In terms of the floor plan, what we would be doing, if you look at the second floor here, so this is the existing stair. To the left side of the stair, we would be building over the garage and the foyer. It would be a master bedroom suite with a bedroom, a bathroom, and a walk-in closet. On drawing Z103, you can see the elevations. Again, to the west side of the property would be the addition over the single-story garage. The garage door is existing for reference, and so is the front door. And then we would be extending essentially the existing roof in front of the addition. This area here, where there's a small bump out over the front porch, that's where the bathroom is on the floor plan. The bedroom would be over here by this window. We would be adding decorative trim at the windows, along with shutters, a stone veneer at the lower end. This is the facade facing Francine Place, and the facade facing River Road. At the rear, we'd be staying on the footprint of the existing building, with roofing over, just providing some architectural roof, so that it would be, for aesthetic purposes. And then this window here is basically where the closet is that you'd see on the floor plan. Does anyone have any questions about the architecture?
If I may, the end result is how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms?
The final result will be, two bedrooms, two bathrooms, one on the first floor, one on the second floor, and two bedrooms, one on the second floor and one on the first floor.
Two new bedrooms.
2 new bedrooms, yeah. Would it be 3 bedroom, 2 bath?
Well, this room here doesn't have a closet, so it doesn't qualify as a bedroom.
That's the one listed as bonus room?
That's the one listed as a bonus room.
But you're counting it as a bedroom now because you said it was a 2 bedroom, 1 bath.
There's a
Applicant did, I guess. All right. That's
It-
okay, but
it would be
It'll be a room.
a two bedroom house and a two bathroom along with a bonus room.
right. Currently, it's a 1 bedroom
No,
Current-
two bedrooms.
with a bonus room, right?
There is one legal bedroom in this
Yes.
house.
Right.
When you say legal, do you mean that it's taxed as a two-bedroom home?
I have no idea what it's taxed as. I know from a building code perspective, this is a 1-bedroom house currently.
1 bedroom with a bonus room, and it's going to be a 2 bedroom with a bonus room.
Correct. We're adding 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom.
I have a question about the architecture.
Yes.
Why was the decision made to only, and maybe it's, for the applicants, maybe it's for you, I don't know. Why not go across the whole top, and why are you only doing the left side? If you want to stay here for a long time and have a larger family, hate to see, I mean, love to see it, but hate to see you here again, because now we gotta make the house bigger again.
I never thought of it like in a
Okay.
different way. You know, I never saw, never, as far as you're saying coming across, like cutting into what we already have in that extra room upstairs.
Correct,
I never even thought of it like that.
okay. I
Coming-
mean,
yeah.
it's
The reason
bigger
this
house,
is-
and bigger cost, so. you know.
Right,
Well,
there's
that's-
obviously financial considerations
Yeah,
too.
we also spoke about the financial,
I was just wondering if it was considered, that's all.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't mean like, oh, you failed, you didn't do that, that's not what I'm getting at, you know? Just curious if it came up.
So the garage.
And this would not change the the existing entranceway or anything, because I noticed that's right below there, or is it?
Correct. So if you look at the first floor plan, the layout stays exactly the same. The difference is if you look at the front steps, we would be adding a structural column, and that dashed line that you see around the perimeter there, that would be the overhang of the roof above that you saw in the elevation. So in terms of the first floor, the only difference would be the column coming down to support it.
Little cheating in going ahead, Mr. Voich's letter, you received a copy of.
Yes.
He spoke to all proposed roof leaders for the second story shall maintain the same water flow, and also drainage statement is proposed.
Yes, so the existing drainage from the gutters goes onto splash blocks. That would be maintained, and that there would be no change to the drainage pattern.
Mr. Chairman, would it be preferable to have Mr. Johnson go through 3.1 through 3.6 of Mr. Voich's memo in order? I think we covered, one of them might have been number 3 already, but 3.3, but if you could just run through those.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. So item 3.1 is stating that there's no new landscaping proposed, and as testimony provide if there would be any existing landscape buffers. If you could see here on the pictures and on the site, also on the site plan, the property on the rear is surrounded by a, I don't know how tall it is, probably about a 5 foot tall or so fence surrounding the property completely. And then in terms of the front of the house toward, that's where the neighboring yards is. The lot 3, which is the adjacent lot over this way, the addition actually would, the existing house here, on the east side, would essentially be exactly the same. There would be no change whatsoever. The addition on the west side would be facing Francine Place and River Road, so there's really nothing to landscape or to shield from, because it's a public way.
So the addition's on towards the corner of the 2 streets?
Yes,
Frontages.
that's correct, yes. In terms of 3.2, I think we just sort of spoke about this in terms of any land disturbance that would be occurring. The only land disturbance that would be occurring would be just the footing needed for the column for the front porch. But in terms of the ground floor level, there would essentially be no land disturbance.
Clearly less than 1,500 feet.
Yes. And item 3.3 states that there's no new site grading is proposed. Again, that's true, existing condition. The only groundwork we're doing is just the footing, the one footing.
And so the existing drainage patterns would be maintained, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I think we just spoke about 3.4 in terms of the drainage areas, so that would stay exactly as is. 3.5 in terms of soil erosion, sediment control must be in place to initiate soil disturbance. In terms of the scope of work that we're doing, there really, other than that one footing, we're not disturbing any soil. The contractors, obviously, when they come in, they would have their own, for the trucks would be parked out on the street, and they'd be carrying the lumber and whatnot to the site. So there's really we wouldn't have trucks up on the site or anything like that, because it's not, there's really nowhere for it to go.
I guess, to the extent soil erosion and sediment control measures will be effectuated, you're stipulating to those on behalf of the
Yes.
applicant?
Yes.
And you're not going to argue it's exempt from soil erosion and sediment control certification?
Yes, we're less than 5,000 square feet.
Okay.
One item I would mention is in his report, item 2.4.2, the last sentence there says that the existing dwelling has a non-conforming side yard setback of 10.17 feet, which is exacerbated by the proposed second-story addition. I would actually say that it is not. Again, the proposed work that we're doing is not on that side. The existing condition remains as is. In fact, the construction that we're doing is completely outside the setback requirement for that side yard.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
I
Yeah.
have another question. It has nothing to do with the architecture of the house, but it has to do with the lot. I'm sorry, were you going?
No, I was just asking if I could ask a question, but
Oh.
that's good. Go ahead.
Well, I'm in the middle, I'm starting line.
Okay.
All right.
We can't leave till both of you get your hands.
All right, so,
There you go, that's true.
so, the shed in the back, it looks like it's 6.5 feet from the side yard. Is there a certain setback from the side yard that the shed in the
The
back
shed,
should
yeah.
be? or-
10
Okay.
feet, yeah.
Yes, so let me put this up here. Yes, so the existing shed is 15.5 feet to the rear yard and 6.5, or just 6.5, I guess, to lot 3. I believe the zoning ordinance requirements, Liz, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. It's 10 feet, right. So we're compliant on the setback to lot 5. We are not compliant on the setback to lot 3. And maybe if you, I believe the shed was there when you purchased the house, so maybe you can just sort of speak to the shed.
When we purchased the house, the shed was in the back.
Well done.
We usually we use it to store our lawnmower, and just some basic gardening tools, and that's it. So,
Do we need to take that into consideration?
Yeah, you do. I could ask a couple of quick questions if it'll help, with the
Yeah, of
chair's
course,
permission and them.
So you're here.
You purchased the home how long ago?
February of 2022.
Right, so it was there then. Do you know how much prior thereto that shed was located only 6.5 feet as opposed to 10 feet from that side yard from that side property line?
I mean, prior to buying the house, I couldn't give you an answer.
Right, and I'm gonna assume that the ordinance was in effect prior to February of 2022. So we don't know that it's a pre-existing non-conforming condition under zoning law. Do we know if the shed is on a foundation or if it,
On the ground, on pier footings?
yeah.
It doesn't describe if you want to. You've taken a look at it.
So the shed is approximately 98 square feet. It is, there's a, what's it called? It's got a gravel base underneath it and sitting on gravel. I haven't seen underneath it, but it doesn't look like there's any like piles or anything supporting it.
I mean,
So it's under 100 square feet.
It's under 100 square
Yeah.
feet. Oh, does it, but still has the 10-foot setback, or no, that's only for over?
No, you need the 10-foot setback, so
Yeah.
I mean, they should just put some testimony on about, for variance for 6.5.
Yeah, I mean, in the bottom line, is it gonna impact your backyard and the use of your backyard if it were to be located in another 4.5, or, great math, Steve, 3.5 feet, to the, Steve caught it, 3.5 feet inward towards the back?
Sure. So if you look at the site plan here, the entire lot width is let's see, it's 72 and a half feet. So the lot is not particularly wide. If you look at the photos, there's an existing condition here of a 5-foot tall fence that shields the shed from the existing, from any of the neighbors. So it's really, if you look at photograph 10, can give you an idea of what's around here. The closest adjacent house is at lot 5 to the rear. We are 15.6 from that house, so we fully comply. The non-compliant condition would be where the shed is on the side yard to lot 3. The house is not there. It is located more towards where the existing house is on this lot. So there's essentially no detriment to the neighbor here, and it's shielded from the adjacent property.
So you're arguing the C2, if I understand correctly, the benefits, you would argue, I'm not saying it, you're arguing that the benefits
Yes,
substantially
and-
outweigh the detriments associated with the 3.5-foot deviation in the side yard setback for the shed, because it's a better planning alternative as opposed to diminishing the usable area of the backyard?
That's correct. This keeps more portion of the undersized rear yard for their children and their dogs to use. It allows them to have the equipment that they need to maintain the yard, the lawnmower and whatnot. And again, because there's no house in that area, there's really no detriment to the neighbors.
For the board to decide, I understand the argument, on the shed. I'm sorry, I think we were in the midst of other questions, and
No, I'm done. Thank you.
So actually, the shed was one of the questions, because I noticed that on Liz's memo, she listed it, but it wasn't on your submission here. I guess, in general, and maybe this is a question for our professional or anyone else. So there's 3 existing nonconformities, which I think, Liz, you said the same thing, right? Maybe not. Okay.
Yes, go ahead with your
Okay, but
question.
my question is on the minimum front yard. Can you, I'm sure I should know this, but I don't. Why is that not an existing nonconformity if they're not changing anything?
I think it is.
Okay, well, there we
And
go.
I think no?
well, I'm sorry, this is a vertical extension. So even given that it may be an existing nonconformity, vertical or horizontal extensions of existing encroachments, even if they are no further encroaching,
Yes.
horizontally, vertical extensions no further encroaching horizontally, or even if it's encroaching less, but it's still encroaching on what would be the setback. Look at it as sort of a plane, if you will, Plane. It technically still constitutes a deviation requiring variance relief, as I interpret it. I'm not the planner, I'm the lawyer, and that's why I explained it as poorly as I did.
But
'Cause I'm also not an engineer.
What I would mention, though, and as I mentioned before, while this would be a non-compliant condition under bulk ordinance, again, as I mentioned, this does comply with ordinance section 136.2, which allows a modification of the yard setbacks.
Well, that's a different story, so to speak, and maybe our planner can talk to
Yes,
that with the board's permission.
if that is the case, and that's why I was sort of reading through it, then that's my mistake, that I missed it. Because essentially what 136.2 says, that additions to an existing single-family home, which extend into a required front, side, or rear yard, are permitted without variance if the following conditions are met. And so that's what Mr. Johnson went through. And what I think I missed is that condition 3 is that the existing residential structure does not reduce, it's not well written, but it does not reduce any required setback by more than 50%, which is the case. It currently is 40 and 17, and if the half of 50 is 25 and half of
30 is
30,
15.
thank you.
We're
And so they
matrix.
both.
Your math's as good as an attorney's.
And it says, and the proposed setback of any addition does not increase the yard setback deficiency, which is the case here. It's actually getting better, right? It's going from 40 to 44.
If one's getting better, one's staying the same in essence?
So yeah,
On
that
the
was
front
another,
yard.
that was another question, because on their proposal, they say no change, but on your memo, you say there is a change.
That it's
That's-
44, am I wrong?
Yeah, so I didn't think there was a change.
Let me
That was my
just
second
see.
question. Yes. Yeah, 'cause
So are we talking about
front yard
44? Okay,
setbacks.
I see. All right, I see what's happening. We're talking about the setback to River Road, not to Francine
Yes,
Place.
River, 40,
So there is no change. The smallest setback is 40.2 feet. I believe that's the setback. That's not changing. The only thing so there is no overall reduction. The only thing that was, I think we're dimensioning here is the dimension to the overhang, which is actually, essentially just keeping the roof line of the.
and that's why I was wondering how their River Road front yard was
So
getting
the
smaller.
40 is existing nonconformity, but the second story is actually setback.
I see. So that's
Yeah,
the 44.8
that's the
is the
44.
second story.
Exactly.
Those,
But so that's technically not really an improvement, because they, to make an improvement, would they have to not move the entire, I mean, they're not gonna do this, but would they not have to move the entirety of the house 4 feet to get that qualifying as an
Sorry.
improvement? Because isn't it at the closest point to that side?
Yes, and so,
Okay.
if they were exacerbating it, let's say they went to 35 feet,
exactly.
then they would not be entitled to this relief that the ordinance permits. But since they're actually being stepped back, more than what's there now, then it's.
So are we calling this an existing nonconformity then?
It's not even an existing nonconformity, it's just there is an exception in the zoning ordinance, which I missed. and
So
Yeah.
it's not even a nonconformity?
It's conforming.
It's conforming,
I guess
yeah.
is what you're concluding.
So
Yeah.
then, do we conclude that the only variance they're really coming for is related to the accessory structure?
I
Well,
think so.
no, actually.
one
So,
other.
so,
Oh.
see, so there's a series of qualifications in order to use that exception. So the shed is a standalone item, obviously, that'll be handled separately. But if you look at my my drawing, item 3, in terms of the yard setbacks, it has a requirement for each yard not to reduce by more than 50%. So where we're doing the work at Francine Place and at River Road, we are not reducing more than 50%. We're fully conforming. The existing condition facing Lot 3 is more than 50%.
Which
It's
is a
required.
side yard setback,
Correct, and that, we're not doing work there. But however, in order to qualify for the exception, all yards have to comply.
Oh, so the existing side yard being 10 foot 2 inches is under 50% of the 25. So therefore, that doesn't qualify. So therefore, this other thing becomes a variance because of that.
I'm sorry, that's right. I think I wrote this letter a
Very
long time
confusing.
ago, and I forgot exactly what it is. So essentially, they don't qualify for that exception.
They don't, yeah.
They
I
don't
see.
qualify the exception.
You
Yeah, so
almost
we've-
got there,
We've
except for-
circled ourselves right back,
I
so
have-
you still need, correct
yeah.
me if I'm wrong, because this is important for us all to keep track.
Yeah.
And ultimately, a resolution, whichever way the board goes, will bear this out. We have to know what's being requested and required. Variance for the shed setback, 6.5 versus 10-foot required. And then we still have our 2 front yard setback variances, both from Francine and River, to the extent depicted and delineated and designated, because you came up short on the 3rd setback, not deviation, not being reduced by 50 or what percent or what have you. So we really are back to those 2 front yards, as well as the side yard setback deviation that on the, no, I take that back.
That's an existing condition.
Because there's no vertical
There's
extension
no vertical
on that
extension
side.
there, no.
So you still need your 2 front yard setback deviation,
And the shed.
variance.
And the shed.
Yeah, and the shed.
Gotcha.
yeah.
Right.
So it's-
Francine and River.
So
we're right
just
back there.
for the board's
Yes.
determination, the reason why I put that there was just for your consideration in terms of approval, that if
Got it.
that existing condition were compliant on the side yard, that we're not doing work, we wouldn't even have to be here.
So if you
But
were
for
at-
the shed.
But for the
Yeah.
shed, but for the shed.
If you were at 12.5 feet, you wouldn't have to be there.
Correct,
other
yes.
than
We
the
would be we would be fully compliant with the exception in the
2 feet,
ordinance.
4
Valid
inches.
argument. And
That's zoning
nevertheless,
for
if
you.
we could stay with that theme, that you still need those 2 front yard setbacks, I apologize, but I could stop if other people
Yeah,
have
no,
questions,
I'm
but, I wanted to make sure we understood your planning arguments, with respect to those 2 front yard setback variances, aside from the fact that you came close to not needing them, so to speak. I take it they're the product of the unique circumstances of the lot being undersized significantly, both as to lot area, less than 50% of the minimum required, and lot width, less than 50% of the minimum required, and the fact that it's also a corner lot. Those 3 items, in and of themselves, would you be arguing constituted unique circumstances that would render the applicant having to undertake an undue or be imposed with an undue hardship if they were strictly required to adhere to the setback requirements for the zone?
Yes, I believe the existing conditions are such that the granting of this particular application would qualify for both a C1 hardship and a C2 beneficial use variance, and would be inconsistent with the purposes of the municipal land use law.
So you're, I understand your C1 argument with respect to lot area, lot width, and corner lot, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And your C2 argument is that it's a better planning alternative because of the end result would be a single-family home, visually and more compatible with the neighborhood, et cetera, as well as the elimination of an existing deviation, because you're under on minimum floor area required, but as proposed, you'd be over.
Correct. We would make that condition conforming.
So that would be one of the additional benefits you would argue in support of a C2 benefit substantially outweighing the detriments associated with the proposed project.
Yes, that's correct.
I think I understand the arguments.
So I would just add, would you say that, in addition, this is a better zoning alternative because you're staying to the extent practicable within the footprint of the existing structure?
Yes, that's correct.
And Liz, I'm sorry, I should have asked you to.
Well, I don't have anything additional.
I apologize.
Yeah,
Oh, we had one. I mean,
It's
aside
always-
from the fact that we got there
Yeah.
together on the planning. No, all
Yeah.
together. It was
Yeah.
it's a team effort and a good job by the team, in my opinion. But the planning review comments, your second one on colors and materials and.
oh, yes, that would be one question I think that I had. If you have color renderings or if you know what the materials will be.
Yes, so the proposed siding is basically to match the existing siding. The existing siding is white. I think it's aluminum, white aluminum siding. We would be putting black shutters to match the existing black shutters and decorative trim above the windows. Stone veneer would be sort of an earth tone color that would complement the white.
Is the stone veneer all the way around, or just on one or
So
multiple facades?
It's on the underneath the addition of facade facing River Road, the full extent of the facade facing Francine Place, and underneath the addition and the rear yard, just where the existing garage is.
Got it. Thank you. Would it be safe to assume that the applicant will be ensuring that the exterior of the addition would be substantially similar in color, architectural style, and materials to the balance of the exterior of the dwelling?
Yes.
So, you follow that? I wasn't sure I even did. Okay, thank I apologize for
That I could
the
follow.
humor, but
Yeah, also.
the other stuff, yeah. But, so then I take it the applicant would have no problem stipulating to same, agreeing with that?
Agree,
As a
yes,
condition of approval, should the board
Oh,
grant?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I just had a question about the fence. So on the northeast side, it looks like the fence posts are just outside the property line. If you go down the black line on the northeast side. Is there something that needs to be notated now so that they don't need to come back if it's off by 6 inches or something minute?
You're talking about the fence towards Francine Place?
Yep. So looking at it, it looks like a couple of the fence posts are just on the outside of the line, if I'm reading the survey correctly.
I can't speak to the fence. That's an existing condition. It's not part of our scope, but
It's just on the side where you're gonna do the construction. So if there's something that the fence gets disturbed, and then all of a sudden you go to put the fence back up, and we didn't note it here, then would they still be allowed to put the fence back up in the same spot?
That's, it's a private property issue as between private property owners. So,
But it's a public road, so that
Oh, I'm
doesn't change
sorry.
it. It's
Yeah,
on the
we're
side
on
of
the-
the road.
no, probably, that's right, my apologies, yeah.
So that's the only reason why, if there's something that they need to note now for making the changes, should we?
Well, could we perhaps make a condition when the fence gets reinstalled that it be within the limits of their property?
Is it definitely going to be disturbed in that area?
I can't say that it will be. If you look at the photos, condition you're looking at is probably seen here in photograph 3 and photograph 6 from the other side. More than likely, they would take a panel or two of the fence down where it reaches the house, but I don't see a reason why they would be touching the fence on Francine Place. because according to the site plan, that fence is about 17 feet from the building.
They may need to bring materials in.
Yeah, I mean, that, if they're gonna come up the side rather than disturbing gravel with a big truck, they may come in the side, just take the panels off. Just make sure that you can put the panels back on and not have any issues since you're already here. Is there anything that, since it is on a public roadside, or?
Look, if the board wanted to require that they ensure that the fence is entirely within their, the boundaries of their property and not encroaching on, I guess it would be township property adjacent to the right-of-way, I mean, I suppose you could do that. I don't know, you know, it's be one thing if they're gonna be disturbing that area anyway, and by replacing that portion of the fence, it might be less of a burden on them to do so, to ensure that it's not encroaching any further. But it's up to the board, I guess. I'm not gonna tell you what would be too much of an imposition or not too much of an imposition on the applicant under the circumstances. That's for you to decide.
I would just mention for the board's consideration, as you can see from the photographs and also from the site plan, there is a concrete sidewalk, that public sidewalk that is there. The fence does not interfere with that sidewalk, so the public use would not be impeded by leaving the fence where it is.
And is it safe to say you're certain or virtually certain that that portion of the fence that we're talking about that may be encroaching is not going to be disturbed such that it would be arguably an undue imposition on the applicant to redo the fence in that area?
Well, I'm not the contractor, so I can't say 100% where we're going. But what if I were the contractor? I would note here that we're putting a second floor addition here. The fence is in the rear yard. You can get to the property from the street without having to go into the rear yard. You might need to take this portion of the fence down to get to the back, but I don't necessarily see a reason why you would have to take the fence down to do the proposed work.
I take it at a minimum, the applicant would stipulate that if that portion of the allegedly or potentially encroaching portion of the fence were to be removed for purposes of facilitating the construction, they would stipulate to relocating that portion of the fence so that it's not encroaching beyond their property line in that circumstance?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm not sure if that's enough for the board, we'll find out, but baby steps, perhaps something.
If they took it down, right?
Do you have anything else that you'd like to submit to us at this time? Okay, Ms. questions? Ms. Planner? Liz?
No, I do not have anything additional.
Anybody from the panel, the board? Any additional questions? Any questions from the public? Come on, come on. No. Opposed? All right, I guess at this point we can start deliberations, but first we'll need to hear from you the conditions, is that correct?
Sure, what I can do is, it'll be a motion to grant or deny, variance relief with respect to, the 6.5-foot setback for the shed versus 10-foot minimum required. The front yard setback by way of vertical extension of, is it 17 feet versus 30 feet from Francine?
Right.
Thank you, Liz. And the front yard setback by virtue of vertical extension from River Road of 44 feet 8 inches, if Liz is not mistaken, versus 50 feet minimum required.
Oh, right. Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Those are the three variances at issue, and if conditions only come into play if it's a grant. If it's a grant, it will be subject to the stipulations made with respect to our engineer's memo dated May 10 and our planner's memo dated May 9, including but not limited to the stipulation that the exterior of the addition be substantially similar in color, architectural style, and materials to the balance of the exterior of the dwelling, as well as the stipulation that if the portion of the fence that may be encroaching outside of the subject property's property lines is disturbed for purposes of facilitating construction of the addition, that portion of the fence will be relocated so that it is no longer encroaching beyond the subject property's property line. That's what I understand to be the relief sought and the conditions stipulated to thus far. And the argument by the applicant was C1, undue hardship with respect to the, and C2, excuse me, with respect to the two front yard setbacks, as well as a C2 with respect to the shed setback. So if it's a motion to grant, it'll be with all those conditions. If it's a motion to deny, it'll be with no conditions. I hope that helps more than it hinders.
Mr. Flatley, would you like to deliberate?
Just to comment, in light of all the stipulations agreed to, in my opinion, all the requirements for granting this variance have been met, and therefore I vote to grant the variance.
Sure. I think the applicant has shown through their testimony that through the exceptional size and peculiar size, I guess, and situation with this lot, that the planned increase in floor area and size is not going to be, obviously those aren't any of the issues, but won't necessarily diminish or in any way hinder the neighborhood. I think the one thing that they actually even discussed was the shed, the existing shed. I think it would be a little bit of a hardship to have to move or eliminate that shed from where it exists currently because of the size of the backyard, the narrowness of that. And I think that this is a really good plan, and I appreciate the fact that they purchased this house to want to stay in this neighborhood for a longer period of time, and I think that's, I wish them good luck with this and
Thank you very much.
success, and I would grant them the variance.
Mr. Dino?
I think you guys have done a great job of presenting the case for the relief that, quite honestly, if the shed wasn't there, I think should be looked at more carefully so that we don't have to see you for granting the relief here. We've looked at this combination of stuff several times. Each time it seems to be discussed at length, and as much as I enjoy spending time with all of you, I don't think that the citizens of Long Hill Township should be spending their money so that we could spend time together. So I'm inclined to approve this application. I welcome you guys to Long Hill Township for the long haul, now that you're gonna have a larger house. And I don't think I can kind of make a condition that we look at this thing, but I know we've talked about it before, so I'll go on the record to say it should be looked at again. And perhaps adjusted so that people don't have the hardship of paying to be here.
You're talking about the shed?
No, the shed,
No,
the shed was 15.
the
or,
combination.
you know,
The fact that they
3.5 feet
hit 2 out of the 3, but they didn't hit the third.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
so,
that,
yeah.
no, this,
Yeah.
yeah, if they had the option of not coming here because of all that mumbo jumbo and moving the shed 3.5 feet, or eliminating the shed, or cutting 3.5 feet off of it, they'd say, yeah, that's better than coming here, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, and just for clarity for members of the public watching or whatever, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
this is not specific to this particular application, and I think what Board Member Giannakis is referring to, one of the vehicles, the only real vehicle perhaps, that our board has, this is where Steve gets on the soapbox about the annual report, is through the annual, everybody starts shaking their head.
Perfect time, perfect
The
time.
annual,
year.
the annual
Yep.
report,
Didn't
the
ever
the
hear
annual
last year.
report. So the zoning board of adjustment can rate, as the quasi judicial body that handles the bulk of the land use board applications for development and sees most of the results of ordinances and what they do require and don't require as variances. The board is particularly well suited, to steal a phrase from zoning law that Steve always likes to do, and to do an annual report to make recommendations to the planning board and the governing body, the bodies that actually implement and adopt zoning ordinances. So it's all the tripartite parts of government working together. It comes around to the zoning board, and sort of like the courts, and can make recommendations to the legislative and executive bodies as to how to do their laws, their ordinances, so that there's that communication. And that's what the annual report does. It's a requirement that boards have at least one annual report, zoning boards of adjustment, doing just that. So perhaps that's a vehicle that this board can utilize that recommendation to further look at that particular mechanism to see if it can be fine-tuned to the benefit of the residents of the township.
Again.
Again, further fine-tuned.
I don't think it's been in our most recent zoning report, so this is good.
Okay.
We got a new one. Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
So I support everything Mr. Giannakis said, especially this topic that we're now discussing, but specifically wholly support this application.
Thank you.
And I too support the application. I think it's going to be a nice addition to the neighborhood as well as to the town and the township.
So it looks like it's gonna be a motion to grant with all the stipulated two conditions.
Can I get a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Second.
Give it to him.
Okay.
Oh,
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Giannakis,
Yes.
Mr. Flatley,
Yes.
Mr. Opalka,
yes.
Vice Chairman Grosskopf,
Yes.
motion carried.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Good luck.
Look, guys.
Sleeping the night yet?
Yeah, he's great. He's
A
been,
5-month-old, really?
yeah, we.
Wow.
Knock on wood, we've been
That's
lucky.
right, yeah.
We're pretty lucky.
Very good.
Maybe until
Congratulations.
my brother's watching him now, so we'll see how we get him back. Guys, thank you for everything.
Thank you.
You.
And if there's a good
We have any
reason
old
for this, the ordinance, the way it's written, then great.
Yeah, it got 2/3 of the way there.
We're still in session here.
Oh,
I said we're still in session.
Yeah, I know.
all right.
We should, you wanna hit the hammer?
Well, you know,
So, John, so what's the issue Gary was talking
Right, we still have some business.
about?
We go through it all the time, though. It feels like not all the
Not
time.
adjourned yet.
Any old business?
perfect, all right.
Hearing none. Any new business?
Deb, do we have any calendar type things for the year coming up or anything we need to do?
No, the only thing, the next meeting for this board is for the reorg on January 16th.
Wow.
So I previously distributed, what you call it, the draft 2024 dates.
Mm.
So if anybody has any issue with that, let me know.
Did you send them by, was that by email or was that,
It was by email.
Okay,
I can
sure.
resend it if you can't find
Okay.
it. but,
I'm sure I have it.
I think, yeah, that's really about it. I have literally gotten probably 5 applications on my desk in the last 3 business days
Oh, wow.
that I haven't even looked at to see which board. I know 2 are for the zoning board. That's, so,
What's going on with Taco Bell?
there are things coming in,
Still not moving.
for sure, so I believe we're gonna be busy for the beginning of the year, so that's good.
So we'll all have a job next year. That's
Correct.
good.
Correct.
Or at least you.
Well, I hope so.
All right, with that note, I would,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Okay.
No.
We're out.
It's
Unanimous.
Yes.